Oh, my bad. I didn't even realize. I am live. I'm itching my damn head here, and that's my fault. How are y'all doing here? I'm pulling up the stream so I can see you guys joining with me. Let's get this. Okay. Perfect. Everyone's coming in here. How are y'all doing today? You know, like always, no need to dine in when you can grab your takeout with me, your host, Obi Kabir. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Glad y'all came here tonight. I'm sorry we had a little delay. We're starting a little later, and that's on my side. But I just want to let you guys know I'm really excited for us to have a fun show tonight, okay? Usually, you know how we usually start with food, eating different things, but since we are in delay, I'm going to skip out the takeout portion of it and just kind of get right into it and kind of discuss everything that's going on in the world, reality TV, and Big Brother. There's a lot more reality TV than there is Big Brother at this point because we had the premiere of The Amazing Race. We also had the premiere of The Bachelorette, two things that we're going to discuss a lot tonight. I know some of y'all are big fans of that. But before we get too much into it, let's talk a little bit about people coming in here first, all right? And again, and how could I forget? Things going on in this world, and we don't like to skirt away from issues. We talk about it, we're respectful about it, but we're going to talk about the debates, you know, everything that's going on politically, and that's why you come here a lot of times. So this is kind of your safe zone for talking your mind, talking about politics, entertainment, because as we know, a lot of it's going on. Right now, I think we are, 400 hours away from the presidential election, I think. Yeah, close to that. So things are they're happening. Yes, so Top Gun Phantom, glad to get you in here. Peter 42, welcome. Teresa, awesome. Zion, glad to have you. Mel Bell, so awesome that you're in here. And also, I think right now we are restreaming this too. So let me get our other people in here who are joining us on any other stream. I know we have our YouTube family. They're coming here right now. They're talking. And then we have the people, our folks on Periscope. And I just retweeted that. So we're going to get some people joining in here with us. And we have a different kind of setup, too. You might notice that. I apologize for that. My camera was kind of wonky today. And so we're trying to get things together. But anyway, I have talked enough about everything that's going on. Let's get into what's going on in the world, all right? I want to hear what y'all are thinking, and I want to talk to you about my thoughts. So let's talk about, we're going to go straight into it, all right? We're going to get right into the middle of it. Let's talk about politics, all right? Like, how are y'all feeling about things? We have a presidential election coming in 14 days, 17 days. Whew, it feels like should be a lot farther away from there, but also at the same time, it feels like we've been living these last 4 years for quite a while. So it's interesting because we're seeing, early voting has started. And so if you are registered or you're over 18 years old, I would really, really highly suggest that you go early vote. Don't wait till the election day to vote because the lines will be really long. And I thought it was a really interesting statistic that I saw earlier and people were talking about is that what you see, and this is unbiased, so I'll keep this in mind. I'll put my sources near the end, but what I was hearing is that between early voting and on election day voting, what you see is a big split within parties. You see many Democrats, people who are registered Democrats, there's a large percentage doing early voting. Around 60 to 70% of votes towards Biden will come from early voting. On election day, though, what they're calculating is going to be around 60 to 70% on election day, Trump's voters will come out. So I think that's a really interesting thing that we're seeing, that we see a big base of Republican voters or Trump voters are coming out on election day specifically. They aren't going for early voting. More specifically, you're seeing Democrats, though, they're doing a lot more early voting. And so on election day, if you just counted election day votes, you would probably see Trump have a lot more votes on that election day. But if you count early votes, you will see Biden probably have a lead. So it's going to be really interesting. And then you have to count in the fact about absentee ballots. And for people at home who don't know what absentee ballots are, it's just basically mail voting. So it's like when you vote through the mail. And so this has been a thing for quite a while. However, recently, this year specifically with COVID, we're seeing a lot of states be a lot more lenient and allow the exception to be able to vote absentee because of your feelings about COVID. You don't want to go vote in person, which is completely understandable. In the past, usually you would have to give a reason for your absentee voting. And there's certain states, including mine, Tennessee, that even COVID is not a reason for them to allow you to absentee vote unless you have it. But it's usually if you are the fear of COVID, if you don't want to vote in person, that's still not a big enough reason to do absentee voting. So, yeah, Top Gun China saying I'm in DC. It's absolutely insane here. I bet it's absolutely insane there. I want to, if you guys all have seen different voting stations, how long are the lines? And that's a big issue we're seeing these long level of lines. And I've been seeing this argument. I want to know your thoughts too. I'll give you kind of my opinion on it. We're seeing these long level of lines for voting. And some of these lines include you're in the car and you're waiting in the car to even get to the parking spot to be able to vote in person. And I've seen the argument saying that, well, you wait in line for concerts. You wait in line for, Black Fridays. Why can't you just wait in line for voting? Well, a few things. I think, one, voting is a lot more important than a Black Friday shopping or a concert thing. It is to choose the next leaders of our countries who determine policies, And additionally to that, we have the resources to make sure and to ensure that these lines aren't as large as they are, okay? It's not just because they're in these huge cities. We have the ability to have a lot more voting stations than we do have, And the argument that a lot of people put out that this is purposeful, and many people equate long voting lines to voter suppression, which I think an argument could be made there. And voter suppression essentially is when there are certain tactics made by, whether it's a political party, it could be the government, it could be a bill, or some sort of third-party entity that makes some sort of hurdle to go vote or to stop a population from voting. So it could be, it doesn't have to be completely stopping, but it can deter them. And that's what we refer to as voter suppression. So I want to know y'all's thoughts about that. Let me know, what do you think about these long lines? Do you think that's voter suppression? Do you think that's just something, it goes on with it, I'd just be really interested to hear what you guys think. Because also, Top Gun friend of me just mentioned the country is divided and on social media. Social media is definitely divided. And I will talk about a Big Brother. We'll talk about that probably to the end. But Zion said, who do you think is winning Big Brother? Similar to Big Brother and our country in politics, things are divided, and social media is a place where it's difficult to talk about these conversations for a lot of people. I understand that because one, you might hold views that some people don't agree with, or also you might agree with a majority of views, but you just don't know how to express yourself. And if you don't express yourself in a way that you feel like might be straightforward or eloquent, it's easy to have people come at you, whether that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any kind of mode of media. So again, that's why I kind of love having these kind of conversations. And we talked about this in the beginning of the season, that we're not going to skirt away these kind of conversations. This is a place where we discuss that, we talk about it, and we kind of, figure it out. Because the cool thing is, this is the takeout. You take out your news, And now moving on from voting specifically, I think what was interesting is that we saw these debates happen. We saw a debate between both Biden and Trump happen, but also recently in the last 2 weeks, we saw the VP debate where that was Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee, vice president nominee, as well as Mike Pence, the sitting vice president, so the Republican vice president representative. So we saw that happen. And for me personally, you could see a very stark contrast between the presidential debate versus the VP debate. In the presidential debate, you see between Biden and Trump, them just slinging whatever they can at one another, and you see this certain tactics taken in there. Versus when you see the VP debate, which they do take shots at one another, but there's a little more subtle way they do it. And I thought, you see that stark contrast, and I think you can really see that stark contrast between Mike Pence and Donald Trump. And then you see, with Joe Biden taking a little more subtle type of way he approaches it. And you see Kamala Harris, though, the way she kind of takes things heads on. So you see a little difference between your presidential and VP pick. And I think it's really interesting where you get to watch that in person, or by in person, I'm sorry, you see that live, and it's going right behind your eyes. So what are y'all's thoughts on that exactly? I was reading this chat right here. And if you guys are, again, watching on any type of other mode of media, whether that's on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, because we are streaming on different platforms, feel free to join. If you want to join the chat and see what everybody's talking about, join TVCO, and we're live on the app right now. We got a good amount of people here talking about it. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on things going on in the world, politics in general. It's very heated conversations a lot, but I think it's important conversations to have. So, find somebody, talk to them, and again, if you haven't voted yet, I would very much so implore you, please go vote. Just go vote. I think it's important that we do that. Speaking about voting, you like that segue? Speaking about voting, let's talk about who just got voted off on what today is Friday, and so it was just yesterday on October 15th. Who got voted off in Big Brother news? All right, the man himself, Memphis. All right, and I think it's such karma. And it's so funny that this man tried 3 HOHs trying to get David Alexander out, and succeeded during the triple eviction night, got David out. Instead of Nicole, he chose to get David out when he had also 3 opportunities trying to get David out, and then we see his butt going out right after David. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait at all till he walks into that jury house and David looks at him and is like, really? You spent your whole game trying to get me out, and the moment you get me out, you leave too. Like, I thought that was very funny. But yeah, it's I'm sorry. Can you all see me? Am I still here? Somebody said, where did you go, Ov? I think my stream still shows me. So if you can't see me on your stream, just reload it. You should be able to see me through that. All right. Sometimes things. I have an iPhone, and that iPhone messes up so much. Like earlier today, it was literally overheating, and so it's a brand new one too. So it's like, why is it over? That's Apple for you. Yeah. So talking about what these moves, and we're seeing people's moves on triple eviction, the biggest night that happened in Big Brother this season, I would say. The moves that people made on that season are coming back to bite them. We see Memphis try to target David instead of trying out Nicole, a former winner, who then returns it and gets him out because one, she needs somebody on her resume. We talked about this last week, that if Nicole is smart, what she's going to do is make a big move. The biggest move you could kind of make without taking out Cody. She takes out Memphis instead of Christmas. I have to say, while I do think David would target Memphis and put him on the block, there's a chance that David tries to get out Cody or somebody he thinks that has a bigger potential of beating him. And another thing is, we all know this, and I love David. And people have talked about here in this chat right here, they're talking about David had a great strategy. He knew his lack of experience would take him far. David, he's not the competition beast in this house. He's not a competition beast. So, especially, the final competitions are all kind of mental things, and we see they're more so memorized things from before. Why would you keep David? I mean, why wouldn't you keep David? David has not shown his prowess in any competitions, really. And the argument could be made that, oh, wait, Ovi, Nicole is not a competition beast. She's just going on a tear near the end. Well, Nicole has done this every season she's been on. Like, this is Nicole's MO. She went on a tear, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she went on a tear on BB16 near the end. Same thing similar to BB18. She started winning competitions near the end. And the competitions that were left, if you're a Big Brother fan, you usually know that the comic competition is going to be near the end. It's going to come back some shape or form. Nicole got second her first season in the comic competition. She got first. She won the competition in BB18. And then they had it again, and she won it again. So I don't know. I think when you really think about it, and again, triple eviction happens so quickly. So it's so tough to make these decisions. But you have time to plan for these. And these house guests knew that it was going to be potentially a double eviction. So you plan ahead. And so for Memphis and other people to be kind of short-sighted, I'd say, and kind of think of Nicole as a somebody who can be pushed around simply and she's not going to do any damage, I think that is a huge fault of its own because, one, She's the only former winner in the house. And if you disagree, let me know. I'm curious to know what y'all think. Nemo57, thanks for following me. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's just it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see these moves these players make, and then it just comes back to bite them in the butt. And here's the thing is, if they weren't talking about it so much, if they don't, if they didn't have a history or a resume previously coming to this house, maybe if they're newbies, I would think differently. But Memphis has been in second place. He knows he needs to win jury votes, one, and he also knows that how he needs to get to there. One, the way he played the game is not going to garner him as many jury votes as you would think, right? He was just mean when he didn't have to be mean. Though people might respect his competition wins, the issue is he has no allies going into this final round, and also they know he is a competition beast. So his only ally, Christmas, are going to put up next to him, and they're probably going to send him out because it is Final 5 at this point. You don't want somebody like him in there who's won 3 HOHs, tied for HOHs with Cody, has won a handful of vetoes. You get him out. So I think it was just a bad play by Memphis himself. And I also think Enzo's at fault here too. And Enzo, for his credit, he has won. And I don't want to do spoilers, but remember, I do want to do spoilers, but this is your spoiler warning. If you don't know what's going on, you just tune on this and you kind of like watch the show. I'm about to give some spoiler warnings. So we talk about the live feeds, who won the HOH. So the person who won the HOH already, that's Enzo. He brought this HOH out, and Final Four is super interesting because it is the HOH, which is important to win, but it's the HOH where you don't get credit for whoever leaves the house. So people are like, Enzo can do a big move. Well, no matter what Enzo does, it's not really up to him. It's up to the veto holder. And let me explain, all right? And if you guys have any questions, let me know. I can explain this and go slower. But you have 4 people left, right? One person wins HOH. That person nominates 2 people, all right? So only one person is left who can technically vote. They will be the sole voting person, all right? Now, the veto competition happens. All 4 players are going to vote. So, all 4 players are going to play in the veto. Everybody has a chance to win. So whoever wins the veto controls the fate of whoever goes home. Because say if player 3, who is not on the block, all right, wins the veto, they can use a veto and essentially send somebody home, but they don't need to play the veto because they're the only sole vote person. So they can keep those 2 people on the block and just vote whoever they want to go home. Or if somebody wins the veto who's already on the block, they can take themselves off, and automatically the 3rd person who wasn't nominated initially will be on the block. And so the person who was nominated initially, who won the veto, took themselves off, is the sole voting person now and chooses who they want to go home. The HOH has no say of who truly goes home. They can win the veto, but they don't get a vote. So even if they win the veto, they put 2 people up. It's the person who's left will be the person who votes. So let me know if that's kind of confusing, all right? Pinnacle, thanks for the follow. Mel Bell, glad to have you in here, all right? So, again, the veto holder decides the HOH. Zion is saying that too again. The veto holder decides who goes home. That means that Enzo is not going to get credit for any move that he makes. Say he sends Cody home this week. He nominates Cody. He puts, which I imagine he's going to put Cody and Christmas on the block. Say if Christmas wins a veto and then chooses to vote out Cody, she gets the props. She gets the props. But that's the issue, is that Enzo right now, and I don't even know if he nominated people today. Please let me know if he already nominated. But if Enzo, he might not even nominate Cody. There's a world where he should definitely, in this world right here, he should definitely nominate Cody, because you can't let Cody go to the final 2 or 3 and be like, I was never nominated once. Not once. You can't give him that. It's already going to be hard to be like, yeah, I was only nominated once before. But, like, you need to at least nominate him so they can say he doesn't have that argument, because then he plays a perfect game, essentially. But Enzo might put Nicole and Christmas up together, and we'll see what happens. And if you guys look keep up with my Inside Survivor, what I do on there, that right there, it's pretty cool because I talk about, I rank every week each person that I think is going to go home. All right. And this week right here, oh, I'm sorry, we got some other people. I didn't even realize we have another. We have a saying, Cody, thanks for coming here. Bubble7575, glad to have you here. I apologize. I just saw we had another chat that we can talk to people in there. But again, the main chat that I'm checking out is on the TVCO website. So pull up TVCO, put it on your phone, and we can talk more there. But yeah, it's excuse me, where was I? Talking about Memphis, Cody. Oh, my rankings, excuse me. So on Inside Survivor, a quick shout out for that. I write a write-up for the BB rankings every week. We talk about who is most likely to go home, who's in the ranking. And this week, though, we did who do we think is going to win, all right? And each week we get points. And I'm going against an amazing woman, Chrissy Hoffback, and she was a Survivor runner-up in her season. I think I want to say season, I'm going to get it wrong, but maybe 38 potentially, but Christy's amazing. But what I put as who I think is going to win Big Brother is I put Nicole Franzel is going to come in first. I think Enzo is going to come out in second. I think Christmas is going to go out in third. And I made the risky pick, but I said Cody's going out in fourth place, which means this week. I know this is a risky play. I already know if Cody, if he wins, if he survives this week, he's probably winning it. But if these people are smart, and I want to say there has to be something in there, they will decide that they need to band together to win this veto with the sole purpose of getting Cody out of the house, to put him in the jury house. Because if Cody stays in this house, if he continues to play this game, Cody wins. There is no question about it. I'm looking now at here. Doesn't everyone think Cody would beat them? CHFO said. Yeah, you would think so. They should know that Cody is going to beat them. They should know. But I don't know. They might just not be thinking that far. Like, it's frustrating because Cody is an amazing player. He has controlled HOH every single week. Every single week. There has not been a single time that he's been in danger, except for this week. He has went to each person and told anybody he viewed as a threat, who was like Kaser, Janelle, he sent them packing. Anybody who would potentially put him on the block, he sent them packing. Cody, if he makes it to the final two, he deserves to win. And is Cody the person to beat? Yes, he is the person to beat. The only person that I could potentially see giving him a fight now that Memphis is gone is Nicole. I don't think Enzo wins next to Cody, even though Enzo is such a social guy. And could be wrong. Enzo preached big moves. And we already saw in multiple jury segments that they expected Enzo to do something with these big moves, all right? If he never said anything about making big moves, people just wouldn't care. They wouldn't care about it. But Enzo himself said they're going to make big moves. It's like this, all right? When your partner, your relationship, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever it may be, when you tell them, hey, I want you to look beautiful on Friday night, we're going to do something amazing. And you tell them this about 10 days before it, all right? We're going to do something great. It's going to be awesome, all right? I think it's going to be great, and I'm going to treat you. I'm going to treat you, all right? And they're like, okay, that's super sweet of you. You don't have to do that. No, I'm going to treat you. You deserve this, all right? The next day comes. Hey, don't forget. We're going to do something good, all right? We're going to do something good. Make sure you buy yourself something cute. Buy yourself something cute. Friday night, remember that. Next day comes. Hey, make sure you get your nails done. Every yada yada. And I'm using this in the perspective of my girlfriend, all right? They might do something else if you're a significant other. Anyway, each day preceding this Friday night, you're hyping them up, telling them this is going to be great. I cannot wait to spend this Friday night with you and do something out of this world. Friday night comes. They are excited. They love you. Your significant other loves you. They're crazy about you. They think you're a great person, regardless of you doing this, because you didn't have to do it in the first place. Friday night comes. And she's like, all right, what are we going to do? And you're like, it's a surprise. Don't worry about it. She's super excited. She closes her eyes. You take her out. She looks up, and she's in the McDonald's parking lot. She's in the McDonald's parking lot. And what did you get her? You got her a Family Dollar General Rockstone. Really sweet. It's not a bad thing. You've done a great job as a boyfriend because you didn't have to do that. But it's a McDonald's parking lot after 10 days of you hyping her up. She just got her nails done. She did her hair. She dressed really nice, and she's in the parking lot of the McDonald's. She is disappointed. It doesn't matter how good of a boyfriend you are, how great of a person. She is disappointed because for 10 days you hyped her up. And that is how we feel as viewers, and how the jury feels about Enzo. An awesome guy, great dude, super social, hasn't done too many strategic moves, but he can make up for it with his social game because he's always been safe. But he has been promising us from the start he's going to do big moves. Well, Enzo, I'm sorry, it's too late. There's no time for big moves. This whole season, there's not been a single big move. You have disappointed us, the viewers, and you have disappointed the jury. And for all those reasons that I have outlined, and for you showing us that McDonald's parking lot when we expected to go to a steakhouse, for us to go to a movie, something above that, we have seen nothing. And for that reason, I don't think Enzo has the ability to win this game. I don't think he has the ability to beat Cody at the end. I only see Enzo winning this game right now, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, clip this, send this to me later down the line, because I still like Enzo a lot, even though he should have kept David. If Enzo goes to the end with Christmas, there's a chance. I think he could. The issue is Enzo has not done anything to differentiate his game from Cody. I mean, I'm trying to do this logistically. I'm really trying to think of this logistically and think it through. The only thing Enzo can say that he did differently than Cody, because he did not make any relationship Cody made, Enzo already made that. The only way he could kind of talk is that Enzo was in the wise man's alliance, right? He was in my wise man's alliance. So he could I had a separate alliance to keep me safe. The issue with that is then Cody has an easy rebuttal. Well, Enzo came to me, told me about this alliance. And because he told me about this alliance, I then put my sights on breaking up Memphis or Christmas. Like Cody was set that I need to break this up because I want Enzo to myself. The same mindset Enzo probably should have had about Nicole and Cody. And Cody, there's not much, from my understanding, that Enzo can do to explain his game better than Cody. And moreover, Cody has a lot more people in the jury that like him versus anybody else on there. So they're already going to be riding high for Cody and talking about how he's been a mastermind between every single move. Versus Enzo would have to explain all of that in 2 minutes in front of the jury. Because we know as Big Brother fans that the jury segment sucks in Big Brother because you don't have an opportunity to talk about anything. All right, I've been ranting about this a lot. I'm going into the chat again. I want to read some of these things, okay? Today, y'all have been great today. This is awesome. I'm really glad that you guys have been so active, and we're getting a few new viewers today. So it makes me really happy. It makes me really happy when we can have these type of conversations like this, okay? I'm going back right here. I appreciate Zion saying I was one of your favorites in 21. There wasn't many people to choose from, really, to be honest, but I appreciate that. Who would you align with in the final four? Who I personally would align with, Top Gun, or would I have anybody else who I think they should align with? Me personally, I think at this point, it doesn't matter about alignments. It matters about who you can take to the end and beat. I don't think there's any game I could have played that would have been better than these at this point. And I'd be very worried to take Nicole to the end just because she is a former winner. And I think that speaks merits for her to get to the final two, even as a former winner. So yeah, it would either be Enzo or Christmas. Me personally, I would align with, because those are the people I'd see myself having the best shot to win. Maybe Christmas, honestly. And I would be worried about that if this cast was a little more girl power, if you know what I mean. If they were very about, like, we need these girls to win. But also, these girls really have ate themselves. They have destroyed their own alliances with any of these girls. So I don't think these girls who are left would be willing to vote for another girl, or some of them, or Christmas. I don't think Devon or Danny have any love for Christmas, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Will we have another male winner after Mickey? Yeah, I think there's a really strong chance. I mean, we right now is a 50% chance that we have a male winner on the season, because we have Cody / Enzo, and it could be. I think if Cody makes it to the end, I definitely think he wins it. I think if Enzo makes it to the end with Christmas, like, he still wins it. Even with Enzo and Nicole, there's still a chance Enzo still wins it, because I think it's a little closer there. But Nicole is the person there. So there's a combination of Nicole and Christmas, and you have a woman winner. But I think we're definitely going to get another male winner shortly. Let's see. Let's look at some other ones here. Oh, I think my whole chat refreshed, so I'm missing a lot of questions. So any other questions, please just re-throw them in here, because I just literally refreshed everything, and it just unfortunately went away. But Zion asks, who do I think is the greatest Big Brother player? Woo. I don't want to be a boring answer and say like the Wills and the Dans. I think Big Brother is interesting because it's the game has changed in different ways, and you can see in different ways that how old school players might not do good in like a recent season. So I think a player that will always do good in any type of season they're in is Hayden Moss from Big Brother 12. I'm a big fan of his game, and I think he created the brigade, essentially he helped create the brigade, and he was a founding member there. And I think we would have seen him do really well on any type of season, And I wonder if he would have played a different game. We're seeing Enzo, who was part of the brigade of Big Brother 12. He's playing a similar type of game he played beforehand, and it's worked out well for him. But yeah, I think Hayden, I think he's a very underrated winner, and I think you take him from any season and plop him in, I think he goes very, very, very far. Dan and Dr. Will, I think they're great too. I think it's so tough because I think it's tough to like compare older players like Will versus some newer players and things like that, just because some of the strategies weren't there before. The meta was different in the game, and so how would they fare now? I don't know, but those are one of the greats. They kind of paved the way. I think they're really good. Somebody put Danielle Reyes. Yeah, most definitely. You have Danielle Reyes, Big Brother 3, and excuse me. Wow, why am I forgetting his name? They have the Secret Alliance podcast, so I can't even remember the his name is blanking me, but he's an incredible player as well. It was the other half of the Secret Alliance in there on Big Brother 3. But those two people, Jason, can somebody help me out with that? Was his name Jason? But those amazing players there. But yeah, recent ones I think really great players. You have Vanessa from Big Brother 17. You have Tyler Crispin, who I really love, good friend of mine from Big Brother 20. And I think his head wasn't all the way in, his heart wasn't all the way in. We saw that on the season. I think in a different mindset, I think Tyler would have even gone farther than he did. I think he's just an impressive player. When he's on, he is on. And then. This is an interesting one. Top one, you said Steve Moses. Are you saying he's the greatest player, or do you think is he one of your favorite players? Because Steve is a very interesting. And trust me, I love Steve. I met him in person. He's a great guy. But I worry. I wonder like how he would do in different seasons too. Because and even Steve said it to himself that I think those first few weeks were really tough for him. He made his way through it, and he was able to get through. I would say it would be interesting to see where he goes. But I think Steven, he won some vital competitions. He's really smart. And he managed a way to make sure that despite what he mentions as his social issues with some people, what he had with, he was able to make a way through. So I would like to see Steve there. He's underrated. You know what? I'll give you that. Comparative winners, I think so. Yeah. He's your favorite person? Okay, cool. I like that. That's really cool. Steve is a great guy. Steve is an absolutely great guy. And here's the thing is, Steve also went against some behemoths in Big Brother 17. There were some really good players, and I think watching that season back is it's really fun when you see some of these players play, and especially with that twin twist they had. But okay, we have talked so much about Big Brother, and today I was hoping to get into some other reality TV stuff other than Big Brother. And we have about like 10 minutes left into our show. So I want to kind of talk about you guys. Have you guys caught the other vaulted CBS show, basically, Amazing Race Season 32? Who caught the premiere of that? Because that was really interesting, because this season is actually really it's interesting. I'm saying interesting a lot, but here's the reason why. They recorded this season, I want to say in November of 2018, almost 2 years ago. They've been sitting on this season. It's been on the cutting board and haven't shown it until now. Until now. And can you imagine being a player or a person who competed on the Amazing Race for 2 years? You had to keep it essentially under the wraps. People found out who was on. They always find out who's the cast, but you couldn't really talk about it, and you couldn't do anything. Like, my question is that did they get paid, whoever's the winner? And I don't know. I know there's spoilers out there, but I don't know who won. Do you think – did they get paid? Because usually you only get paid until your show premieres, and then you get at the end of it. So I wonder if the people on there got paid, even though it was a 2-year wait. Let me see. Mel Bell, you said it's on your DVR. Can't wait to watch it. Okay, since you haven't watched it yet, I won't talk about who goes home, because I don't want to spoil that for you. I want you to stay in here. So we're not going to talk about who went home on it. But what I thought was really interesting was that they had it for so long. And also keep in mind, they have there's really not much going on television, right? And what I was kind of frustrated about was that this episode was 45 minutes long. Well, an hour with credits, but 45 minutes long, when this deserved a 2-hour slot. It's the premiere, and you have all this footage. And so I'm really curious why they didn't pull the gun and say, like, hey, let's do a 2-hour premiere right now, because they have the footage. They've been sitting on it for a while, and it deserves it, because this episode felt so rushed. It felt so rushed, and it let me know what you guys think. And but yeah, I just felt like I didn't really get to know the people very well as much as I wanted to, because it literally goes. We don't even get those like nice like intros that we usually get. It just goes like kind of into the competition, and you kind of learn about them as they go. Competitions weren't bad. I like the place where they're going through, but especially in the beginning rounds, to have that many contestants, and I believe it is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did I count that right? I think there's 11 contestants. 11 teams of 2, so 22 contestants. It's really hard to jam 22 people in 45 minutes and let them race and actually kind of get to know them. Like, the people who went home, I didn't really get to know them very well. So it was really unfortunate. Somebody said, Top Gun, your friends with 2 races on this season. The baby goats, they were the first on the. Oh, okay, cool. Let me see. That's awesome. That's good for them. Yeah, they. Oh, yeah. Let me see. I'm trying. On my side, I wish I could pull it up for y'all right now, but I'm looking at the people on here. Baby goats. Are you talking about the Huang and Chi? Is that the people you know? If they were the first on the map, because I think they're the ones who did. I was really surprised at how people did too, because on this season we see that there are actual, and there usually is, but this season it seemed more so. There were some pro football players, or previously pro football players, and then there were some Olympians on this season too. So I was like, whoa, like usually I feel like that's a disadvantage for the other players, so you're going against actual athletes. But they didn't fare as well as I thought they would. I'll just keep it at that. They didn't fare as well as they thought they would. And it was cool to see who won this round too. And some people who I was really unexpected who I thought wouldn't, and they made it through. So it's really cool. And it showed for next season, or this season later on, they got rid of the U-turn, and they're using they put it in the preview. I forget the name of it. I think it's called the hammer or something. Somebody somebody let me know in the chat about it. And also, guys, if you guys know who wins or who goes far, try to keep that to yourself. I don't want to spoil anybody in here. I love that you guys are sharing that, but just make sure, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched or wants to watch the whole season of Amazing Race. But anyway, they're doing a thing where they take away the U-turn, which the U-turn was usually is that you can make a team behind you have to do both the competitions to continue to go on. And they took that away, and they do, I think it's called a block or something like that. It's essentially they have to make them wait for 30 minutes. So I think it's going to be cool. Old school fans, they're the ones who really enjoy it. So, or enjoy that part. You know what? I think we're going to go. I know I said we'd probably log off at 9, but we're going to go over a little bit because this is kind of fun. So I'll make sure we get the full hour or try to do that, all right? Because I don't want to rush this too much. But yeah, The Amazing Race is really cool. I think it's an awesome type of show. Somebody asked, would you go on The Amazing Race with Hannah? Yeah, that's one of the shows I can very clearly tell you guys that I would love to go on with Hannah. More so just because, like, it would just be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun, I think. It'd be a cool bonding experience and a lot less – it'd still be stressful, but a lot less stressful than my experience on Big Brother or any other type of show. So I guess my only regret with like Big Brother is that you couldn't really share that experience with somebody you love, you know? So The Amazing Race, I think win or lose, that experience is really cool. I don't know how well we would compete with you because we always like in every other couple, we argue so much about small little things. I think it would be really funny to watch us there and get frustrated. We try to work well through things, but I know that we're both very directionally challenged, which is kind of the point of The Amazing Race, to be good at directions. And so I don't know how well we would fare, but it would be a fun time. Let me know if you guys would go on The Amazing Race. Who would be your partner? Or I'm curious. So everybody in this chat, let me know who would be like your person. Would you bring your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your grandma? Who would be your pair? All right, your coworker. I would love to bring the dog. Actually, no, I wouldn't bring the dog because he is slow and he would get very tired very quickly, and we'd probably lose. Yeah, it's interesting to see The Amazing Race, and I really like it. It's kind of my feel-good show when I'm like not feeling good or just sad or whatnot. I like to put on The Amazing Race. That's what I used to watch with my family because it's like you can turn it on and just watch it. You don't need to know anything beforehand. You just have a good time. So I really like that. I would suggest that you guys watch it afterwards. Talkman would go with Life After Neverland or Nicole Anthony. Those would be two great people to go on. Oh yeah, somebody said, I always root for the people who are kind to the locals. I love when we see people interact with the locals. We haven't seen that as much in the recent seasons, and I'm hoping they bring that back because I love that, because it's like we get to be immersed more into culture, and I think it's really important that when you are in these areas that you're respectable to what's going on, right? If you're not respecting the culture that you're in or the areas that you're at when you're having such an amazing opportunity to travel to them and compete for $1 million, like you're doing it wrong. Then you have to be, you have to be respectful and you have to be appreciative for what you get. So I think it'd be really cool. Teresa, thank you so much for that animation. I really appreciate you sending that to me. I'm sorry if I missed any other previous animations or anybody who gifted anything. But Leanna said, my daughter, she's in the Army, so she could get as far. Yeah, that's a smart decision. Me or Hannah aren't in the Army whatsoever, and both of us, actually, correct me, Hannah has been starting to cycle a lot more, and I'm getting back into fitness again too after my slump down here in quarantine. But yeah, we would have to really, really train heavily. And it's funny, I'll talk about it on here too. We've had other past Big Brother people on The Amazing Race, and we've had people cast to be on The Amazing Race, but were cut literally like moments before, like few days beforehand. And it kind of sucks because you just don't know when you might get cut. And a lot of people did get cut. And the issue is you have to train so hard because you have to imagine you're trying to win this thing. So when you're already trying to remember type of maps, be better at directions, have an idea of potential countries that you would go to and have an idea of what kind of competition. So you start using that in your whole regimen of working out. And then you start really focusing on, running a lot and long distance runs. and doing that in the heat in different environments. So there's a lot of training that goes in this, because you're also not running just by yourself. You're running with a backpack or holding something. So there's a good amount of training that goes in here. And the worst thing is like you being on the show, or sorry, being casted on the show, and then moments before you get on the show. By moments, I mean like 2-3 days before, they're like, hey, we're cutting you. Because they always have alternates too. And then as an alternate, you also have to train like you're going to potentially be on the show. So you're training for something you don't even know that's going to happen. So, yeah, it's just interesting to see how it works, and it's a shame for some people, but it's a cool thing, and I would suggest that you guys try out if you like the show. Which one would you be, the navigator? See, here's the issue: is that in all things in life, and in a relationship too, I think you have to be compromised and be, But I usually take directions, or I push my directions out. I'm very like. Here, this is what we're going to do. What do you think about this? So I'll lead, and then I'll take Hannah's advice or talk about that, and we'll compromise first. But usually I lead. Issue is that would I be the navigator? I would try to be the navigator, but I know I would probably fail horribly because I am so bad at directions. Issue is that Hannah's not much better at directions, but I think in the beginning we would try for her to navigate, because also I have more confidence in her ability to be better at that than me. And then also, if we do mess up, I know she won't be frustrated. She can't be frustrated at me because it's her fault, and I won't care as much because I'll be like, we can make it up. So more likely, she would be the navigator, and I would do my best to find the shortcuts of wherever we can. But yeah, Hannah, and I think there's anybody in a relationship, there's not one person who just she just does it, especially like when we're out in public or doing something, and like we need something, even though I'll be like, hey, I need to get it, and she's like, she'll ask right away. So she has no issues with that. So hopefully we wouldn't get lost, and hopefully we wouldn't get lost in a taxi or anything like that. Let me know what you guys would be. Would you be the navigator or not? So I'm going to ask, was I an alternate for Big Brother? I was not an alternate for Big Brother, but fun fact, I was kind of an alternate for Survivor, season 33 for Gen X versus Millennials. That was my 2016, I want to say. Yeah. I applied for Survivor and made it pretty far in the casting process, and it was right there and just shy of being on the actual cast. And then, 4 years later, I decided to apply for Big Brother, and the rest is history. I was on there. So, Alpha Cat, thanks for the follow. Glad to get you in here. Y'all, this has been a good night, man. This has been a really good night. I love that we've had these good conversations in here. I love that we've had some, good amount of viewers and everything in here. So this has been fun. Again, if you're watching on any of our restreams, I know we've had some people in and out, feel free to come on the TVCO part. That's where we do the chat. Follow me if you can, so we can you can see me whenever I go live. And additionally, we have about, I want to say 2 episodes left in the season. So if you want to, probably take a little break after the season, and then we're going to reshuffle, and kind of there might be hopefully a season 2 of the Takeout. If you guys really like this and stuff like that, please let TVCO know and say, hey, I want a season 2 of the Takeout with Obi. I really enjoyed it, because we're trying to grow this community. I think it'd be really dope. So yeah, and if there's any suggestions that you guys have, I'm always open to that. I'm always open to also collaborating with you guys. If you have a TVCO show, or if you have a podcast, or if you just are like curious about casting process of these type of shows, let me know, and I'd love to help in any way I can. Okay, so this to a season 2 or whatever, I don't really know exactly what content we would cover yet, because Big Brother won't be happening, but we cover kind of, as you see, all sorts of things. So we'd be expanding a little bit more, and I think we would try to get some guests on the show more so. So this season, I kind of just been mostly me talking with y'all, which has been a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, I love talking to y'all for an hours on end. But I think we'll probably bring some guests, do some different things, and those guests would be some people, not just in the Big Brother world, but other entertainers in different type of things. So I would love to bring some people from, whether it's on Survivor or other types of shows. I know Nicole's really good on Hello Friends, where she brings in people from the challenge, things like that. We have some people that I think would be some cool people to bring in. But if you have any thoughts of somebody you would love to see come on the show, have an interview with them and talk about different things, let me know, and we'll get that done. But yeah, I think tonight, excuse me, sorry, for the next 2 weeks, that's kind of last 2 episodes we have, we're going to cover the Big Brother finale, talk about that. We didn't talk about the premiere of The Bachelorette very much tonight, but we talked about so many other things that I think is completely fine. If you guys are Bachelorette friends, let me know in there. I think it's going to be a wild-ass season because of it looks like – I think it's pretty out in the open. Essentially, Claire doesn't seem like she's going to be the Bachelorette for much longer. It looks like somebody else is going to come in, and it's going to be absolutely wild. And so we're going to talk about that a lot more next week because I think we're going to have a really interesting episode Monday, or Bachelorette episode Monday. But that basically, covers everything we have here. Next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the finale, talk about that stuff. And on our final episode, if it coincides, we might get some Big Brother 22 guests on here to talk about some certain things, all right? So to kind of get their idea. So that's going to be a fun show, I think, if we do that. And that'll be kind of the finale that I think a great way to wrap up this whole season. So that's still kind of in the works. But with all that being said, I really appreciate you guys here, all right? Thank you so much for watching here. If you like this, make sure you, before the night ends, follow me on TVCO. If you want to see my other channels, you can see them. They're at the Ovi Kabir on Twitter and Instagram, Ovi Kabir. And y'all, I hope you guys stay beautiful. Remember that when you're here, you never need to dine in. You can always grab takeout with me, your host, Ovi Kabir. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday night. We have a great weekend, and I can't wait to see you next Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. All right, y'all. Have a good night now. I'm signing out.